Welcome back. The U.S. economy is stronger than it's been in years. Friday's unemployment report was solid, holding steady at 4.1%, a 17-year low. Business investments are up. The stock market is reaching all-time highs, and tax reforms is on the table.
Of course, the big question right now is what impact is this tax reform plan going to have on the economy? And joining us this morning to talk about all of this is our friend Mark Avallone, personal finance expert, and Pete Shep, who's the president of the National Taxpayers Union. Pete, Mark, thanks for joining us this morning. We know a little, Mark, I felt bad the last couple of weeks because every time you come in, we didn't know what we were talking about, basically, because we didn't know what the parameters of the tax bill are. We now know two different versions exist. But a lot of people I've been talking to are very concerned about the loss of deductions, right? That your state and local taxes are going to be no longer applied. What kinds of conversations have you been having with people about as they look forward to this incoming tax season?
Well, for upper middle class, affluent individuals living in states like Maryland, California, New Jersey, with high state income tax, with high property taxes, they may actually not get a tax cut. So that's what the concern has been, that there really is a tax cut for lower earners through the higher exemptions, for working middle class folks, and for folks on the high end who see a drop in the tax rate. It's that upper middle bracket that could actually get a slight increase because of the loss of the SALT deduction, the state and local income tax.
Pete, that's not what was promised, though.
Well, if you take a look at all the distribution tables, millionaires are getting an average cut of about 4%. $50,000 to $75,000 range, 28%. Upper middle class falls somewhere in between those two poles. Now, the loss of the SALT deduction is by no means set in stone yet, because there are members of the House of Representatives who voted for their plan on the assumption that part of SALT would be preserved. So that might very well still be in the final bill, probably a property tax deduction.
So, Pete, can you sell us on why the voters should be happy about the fact that the corporate tax cuts don't expire, but the middle class tax cuts do?
Not all of the corporate tax cuts are permanent. In fact, one of the most important elements, which is a full write-off for corporate investments when they retool their plants.
The lowering to the 20% will stay. And now we're talking about people like our viewers who live in Maryland, where Mark brought up the point that we're not going to potentially see this tax cut. So why is that the right decision?
There are a number of reasons. For one, even the Congressional Budget Office, which is a real skeptic of tax cuts, says at least $1 out of every 4 that's cut from the corporate tax is going to show up in workers' paychecks. Economists think it's twice as much as that.
One of the things the CPA did say that this would add $1 trillion to our deficit. That's not the kind of thing we're used to hearing from Republicans. Is this new territory that they're that convinced that the economy is going to grow to a point where that's not going to affect things that badly?
Well, what they're not including is any potential economic growth from the bill, which would generate tax revenue.
Right, but the numbers Veronica just read at the beginning of the segment, though, indicate that the economy is firing on all cylinders.
Well, it is.
Is that a good thing?
And that's a risk. And that's a risk of having tax cuts now, because if the economy is strong and tax cuts make it stronger, then the Fed actually might raise interest rates, and that's the fear that the market has. And that's a risk that we have, getting tax cuts and corporate growth now at this point in the cycle.
Yeah, there's a lot of irrational exuberance over just how much these tax cuts can do, but it is possible that we could be boosting our economy an extra 0.5 percentage point over time. That is a lot of revenue for governments as a result of the economic growth, so they benefit.
All right, Pete Shep, president of the National Taxpayers Union, and Mark Avallone, financial expert. Thank you both for being with us today. Next up, looking for ways to give back this holiday season. I hope you are. Stay with us.
Watching Fox 5 News on the Hill. Be right back.